السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن والاه. أما بعد. Welcome once again, dear brethren, to another sitting and gathering, reminding ourselves of the Hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as mentioned by Imam Nawawi in his noble book Al-Arba'in al-Nawawiyya. And last week we stopped at the point where we were mentioning Ash-Shahadatain, when this strange man came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the origin of this hadith is in Sahih Muslim. Umar ibn Khattab, Abu Hafs al-Qurashi al-Adawi radiyallahu anhu wa ardah, ثاني خلفاء الراشدين المهديين, mentioning to us this waqi'ah, this occurrence at the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when a strange man came to him and said, Ya Muhammad, akhbirni an al-Islam. And the first thing that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, that al-Islam an tashhad an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. And we explained what it entails for a person to say, Ashhadu La ilaha illallah. And today we are going to look at some of the aspects which are necessitated when a person says wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imam Ibn Uthaymeen rahmatullah alayhi rahmatan wasi'ah mentioned 8 points which, if a person says wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, these 8 points have to be amongst the things which necessitate that you actually believe in your heart and you proclaim with your tongue. However, as we mentioned last week, these 8 points can be summarized into 6. So we are going to summarize what our noble Shaykh rahmatullahi alayhi rahmatun wasi'ah mentions when a person says wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. What does it actually mean? Into how many points? Into 6 points. And we don't mean that this is ala sabil al-hasr, that these are the only points. Perhaps some of you, inshaAllah, when Allah Azza wa Jal grants them more knowledge, they will be able to bring about more points which necessitate a person's belief, ratifying it with their heart and proclaiming it with their tongue, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the messenger of Allah Azza wa Jal. So we go straight away. Point number 1. When you and I say wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the first meaning which comes to you huwa tasdiquhu fi jami'i ma akhbar. It is believing in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in everything that he has mentioned, everything that has emanated from him, everything which we can ratify that comes from the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. During the time of the Sahaba, it was easy. During the time of the Sahaba, it was quite easy, because they could actually see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or they could carry the message between them and swear by Allah Azza wa Jal that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said such and such. And if it was proven that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said something, they all believed it immediately. An example, ما رواه الحاكم في مستدرك بإسناده عن معمر بن راشد عن عروة بن الزبير عن عائشة رضي الله عنها وأرضاها. Imam al-Hakim in his book Al-Mustadrak al-Sahihain mentions a hadith بإسناده إلى عائشة رضي الله عنها وأرضاها, to our noble mother al-Mu'mineen Aisha رضي الله عنها وأرضاها. She says, الحديث عن معمر بن راشد عن الزهري القرشي الزهري ابن شهاب عن عروة بن الزبير عن عائشة رضي الله عنها. She says, لما أسري برسول الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم جاء فأخبر الناس. When Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم went to his journey, al-Isra, from Bayt al-Maqdis, or from Masjid al-Haram إلى بيت المقدس أو مسجد الأقصى, لو ما أسري به إلى مسجد الأقصى. He came the next morning and he informed the people of what has happened. Some of the people who heard it, فارتد قوم كانوا قد آمنوا به وصدقوه. First thing is, some of the people who were already Muslims, who already believed in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when they heard this, they left the fold of Islam, waliyadu billah. After they had believed in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and had believed in him and believed in his message, irtaddu ala dhalik. Let us just paint a picture. This is a time where there's no technology of airplanes or bullet trains or the hyperloop, which is a different form of travel which will be very common in the future, inshallah, where it will be 2 to 3 times faster than a plane. So think about this. This is a time where this technology does not exist. A man, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, khairul bashar, claims he traveled hundreds of kilometers from Mecca to Bayt al-Maqdis, Bayt al-Aqsa, current day Jerusalem in Palestine. Traveled to As-Sama and came back before the morning. Now think about this. If I were to come to you and tell you, Ya Jama'ah, in a time where there are no planes and there are no modern forms of travel, and I tell you, subhanallah, I just prayed Salat al-Asr in New York and I was here 1 hour before Maghrib, what would you say? هذا مجنون. What is he talking about? He's a crazy man, isn't it? That'll be the first thing which comes to your mind. However, this is as-sadiq al-amin. It's a person who does not lie, who was trustworthy. The Quraysh of Mecca used to bring all of their valuables to be kept safely to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam قبل البعثة. And when he became Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Nabi alladhi yuha ilayh, a person who revelation comes to him, he comes to them with a waqi'ah, with an occurrence which does not come into their minds. Right now, if I tell you, subhanallah, I went to Jerusalem and I came back, yes, the same day, you can say, la bas, inshallah, because we have the technology. At that point there was no technology. That technology did not exist. That is why when Hakim is mentioning or accounting this from Aisha radiallahu anha, she says, فَارْتَدَّ نَاسٌ كَانُوا قَدْ آمَنُوا بِهِ وَصَدَّقُوهُ. فذهبوا أو سعوا إلى أبي بكر الصديق رضي الله عنه وأرضاه. All of them went to Abu Bakr, أول خلفاء الراشدين المهديين, amongst the first people to accept Islam, a close friend, the beloved of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they said, هل لك من صاحبك يزعم أنه الليلة ذهب إلى مسجد الأقصى ورجع قبل الصبح. They're starting to make a mockery now. The people who disbelieved after they believed, together with the mushrikeen, amongst them Abu Jahl, all of them running to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu arda, telling him, look at your friend, listen to what your friend is saying. Are you still going to believe your friend? He claims that he went to Masjid al-Aqsa fi Sham, to the Levant, this night, and he came back before the morning. He went back last night and he came back before the morning. He was already here. رجع الصبح. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu wardah, as soon as he heard this, he says, هل قال ذلك? Did he say it? All of them responded, نعم بل قال ذلك. All of them are now happy. Oh, we have struck some raib, some shak into the heart of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu wardah. After him asking them this question, did he say it? Yes, he said it. فقال لئن كان قال ذلك فهو حق. And immediately he responds to them and says, if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said that he went to Masjid al-Aqsa and he came back before the morning, if he said that, then it is the truth. فهو حق. Immediately. فهو حق. Aisha radiallahu anha finishes by saying, this is why from this day he was known as Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Because he believed, he was in the forefront of believing anything which emanated from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he tells them, كيف لا أؤمن به كيف لا أصدقه. How can I not believe in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And I entrust him بما هو أكبر من ذلك. I entrust him with that which is stranger than that. I believe him. I entrust him بخبر السماء. I entrust him with the revelation coming to him from the heavens. غدوة وروحة. At the ends of the days, at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, I still believe him. How can I not believe him in such a trivial matter? Look at Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. He says revelation is greater than him going to Masjid al-Aqsa and coming. He reveals, or it is revealed unto him day and night, morning and evening, and I believe him in it. How can I not believe in such a trivial matter? This is during the lifetime of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the Sahaba heard this, they were supposed to believe it immediately. Now we don't have Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. بيننا مفاوز والارتباط بيننا وبين رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الإسناد. The link that we have with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the chain of narration, which we always strive to mention. Whenever we mention a hadith, we give you with the chain of narration to establish this noble link with us and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. so that nobody can come and add in your religion, in our religion, ma laysa min dhalik, so that we can ratify, we can authenticate what was mentioned by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when we do, we know that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam qala shay'an min al-maqalat, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned a few things, we believe it immediately. That is the meaning, or the first entailment of a person saying wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah huwa tasdiquhu fima akhbar. It is believing in whatever he said. If he was alive, the Sahaba witnessed it and they believed. And for us, our link with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the isnad. And if the isnad is sahih, all the way to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to his Sahaba mentioning that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned something, we believe it immediately. That is number one. Now, Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen mentions point 2 and 3, which we are going to combine it as point number 2 for us. Number 2, هو امتثال أمره واجتناب نواهيه. Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala made them 2 different points. We're going to make them 1. Meaning, a person following the commandment of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in what he ordered and keeping away from what he has asked you to keep away. This is point number 2. When a person says wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that means anything which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has ordered you to do, you're supposed to do it. Anything which he has ordered you to keep away from, you're supposed to keep away from. يقول الله تبارك وتعالى وما آتاكم الرسول فخذوه. Whatever Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has given you, has conveyed to you, take it, follow it, exemplify it. وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ أَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. And whatever he has forbidden you from doing, then keep away from it. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions this in a hadith reported by Imam al-Tirmidhi في كتاب العلم. باب ما نهي عنه أن يقال عند حديث رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Words which a person is never supposed to say, words which are never supposed to come out of a person's mouth when they hear the hadith of Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم. He mentions this hadith. قال حدثنا قتيبة بن سعيد قال حدثنا سفيان بن عيينة عن محمد ابن المنكدر وسالم أبي نضر عن عبيد الله بن أبي رافع عن أبي رافع رضي الله عنه وأرضاه. Abu Rafi' مولى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, the manumitted slave of Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم, whose name is either Ibrahim or Aslam, min Qibt Masr, was a Coptic from amongst the Coptics of Egypt, who accepted Islam, and Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم manumitted him, set him free. Abu Rafi' radiyallahu anhu warḍah. His son Ubaydullah reports this hadith from him, that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, لا ألفين. لا وهو لا الناهية. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is forbidding his Sahaba. لا ألفين أي لا أجدن. May I not find any one of you. We all know the usloob of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and how he's Rafiq and Halim. But listen to the words that he chooses whilst addressing the Sahaba in this particular instance. He's saying, لا ألفين أحدكم. May I not find any one of you. Imagine your teacher is in the class and he tells you, may I not find any one of you looking at their phones or has their phone in their hand during class. Is that a scary warning from the teacher? Yes, very scary warning, isn't it? Now think about A teacher who we always know is very calm, is very collected, is very polite. And this teacher comes and changes the tone and the style of their speech by warning you, may I not find you doing such and such. Showing the greatness, showing the gravity, showing the importance of whatever Rasulullah ﷺ is forbidding his Sahaba from. So he says, لا ألفين أحدكم متكئا على أريكتي. First of all, he gives us a description of how this person is. May I not find any one of you متكئا على أريكتي. Arika is something which is similar to a couch this day and age. Yes, a couch. The sofa set, the sofa. When you're at home and you're watching TV, yes, and you're in the sofa set, the long one, what do? Kick your legs up, have the remote in the hand, maybe you have a drink, yes? هذه هيئة المستكبر. This is a position of a person who Rasulullah ﷺ equates to a person who has kibr. Why? I'm not saying it is haram for you to do that. It is haram for you to do that in this context. Rasulullah ﷺ warning his Sahaba, لا ألفين أحدكم متكئا على أريكتي يأتيه أمر مما أمرت به أو نهيت عنه فيقول لا أدري ما وجدنا في كتاب الله اتبعناه. This person sitting like that, and Rasulullah ﷺ does not mean it literally, he means it figuratively, meaning this person لا يرحل لطلب العلم. This person doesn't come to the masjid like you have come to the masjid. I see a lot of you are uncomfortable in the way they're sitting. It is not easy seeking knowledge. It isn't easy. So Rasulullah ﷺ is warning his Sahaba, let not one of you be lazy in seeking knowledge. Lazy. Doesn't go out to the masajid. Doesn't have to go through the pains and the hardships of seeking knowledge. Doesn't sit in the majalis of a dhikr. He is sat comfortably, yes, on his arika, on his couch, waiting for Netflix, yes, and Showmax and Prime Video. He's waiting for that. So Rasulullah ﷺ is warning us, don't be like this person. And then it comes to you, a matter which I have ordered you to do and I have asked you to keep away from. And then you say, no, I don't know. Whatever we find in the Quran, we are only going to follow. This person is hiding behind his small knowledge, saying if it is not in the Quran, khalas, we are not going to follow it. This is what Rasulullah ﷺ is warning the Sahaba from. Whatever Rasulullah ﷺ gives you, take it. Whatever he asks you to keep away from, keep away from. Rasulullah ﷺ orders us to be kind to the people who are weak amongst us, to be gentle to our women folk, to give in charity, to use kind and humble speech. Rasulullah ﷺ orders us, orders the men not to wear gold and silver. Can we find that in the Quran? Is there anywhere in the Quran which says gold and silk, not silver? Silver is halal for the men. Al-Khatam, only a ring, huh? Don't start wearing chains, Allahu musta'an, and earrings, Allahu musta'an. Wearing a ring of silver for a man is the sunnah. And we can find that in Sahih Muslim, Hadith of Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu arda, that Rasulullah sallallahu ittakhadha khataman min fidda, and he used to wear it this way. وَجَعَلَ فَصِّهِ مِمَّا يَلِ كَفِّهِ, like this, because that's how he used to stamp. عَلَى خِنصَرِهِ, on his pinky ring, or in his pinky finger. That's the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu. Rasulullah ﷺ has forbidden the men from wearing gold and silk. Can we find that in the Quran? The Rasulullah ﷺ teaches us how to pray. Al-Fajr, 2 rak'at. Dhuhr, 4 rak'at. Asr, 4 rak'at. Maghrib, 3 rak'at. Isha, 4 rak'at. Can we find that in the Quran? No. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam says that if you eat from the camel meat, then your wudu is batil, your wudu is gone. Can we find that in the Quran? So this is what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam means. That when a matter comes from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, be it an order, do it, or an order not to do it, a prohibition, then keep away from it. Don't start asking, subhanallah, is this halal, or is this wajib, or is this mustahab? Subhanallah, this is the marad of our time today. If you tell somebody Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has ordered you to do this, he will start asking, yatafalsaf. It says, is this wajib, or is it mustahab? Praying the sunnah before fajr, is it wajib, is it mustahab? It's an order from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, whoever prays the 2 rak'at of al-fajr, it is better for him than ad-dunya wa ma fiha, than the world and whatever is in the world. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling you, is showing you how to deal with your women folk in the house, how you're supposed to speak to them, how you're supposed to deal with children, how you're supposed to deal with a person who doesn't understand like you understand. Are you going to ask, is it wajib or is it mustahab for you to do so? No, do it. Because it's an amr from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As for, is it wajib, is it mustahab? It comes later. Perhaps a person fell into a mistake. Now we look, what is the hukm? If it was something which is wajib, alayhi bitawbah. He has to ask the forgiveness from Allah Azza wa Jal, wa hakadha. So how many points have we mentioned so far? How many? 2 points. Point number 1. What was point number 1? Ya ma'ashar al-ahibba. Naam akhil fadil. We believe in everything which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said. If he was alive, yes, the Sahaba believed immediately. And we took an example. Number 2, Sh.Abdulqadir. Naam. Follow the commandments of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وَمَا أَتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. Whatever Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives you, don't start saying it is not in the Quran, we cannot follow it. We cannot find this in the Quran. La. Follow it because it's a commandment of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Point number 3. ألا تقدم على قول رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قول أحد. For you never to proceed, to supersede, to take preference of any person's words, opinions, sayings over the words, opinions, sayings of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. يقول الله تبارك وتعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقدموا بين يدي الله ورسوله. جزاك الله خير. بارك الله فيك. جزاك الله خير. يقول الله تبارك وتعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقدموا بين يدي الله ورسوله. O you who believe, do not go forth before the matter, the commandments of Allah Azza wa Jalla and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We've already established that whatever Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam legislates, it is as though Allah Azza wa Jal has legislated, because He has given him that authority. Whatever we find from al-wajib, or an action, or an amr, a directive from the Quran, from the Sunnah, a prohibition from the Sunnah, then it is wahi from Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah Azza wa Jal says about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَمَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. It is wahi which has been given to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from the Quran, وَغَيْرِ الْقُرْآنِ. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives us commandments which we cannot find in the Quran. It is a wahi from Allah Azza wa Jal. He has chosen not to put it in the Quran. However, it is taba'an lidhalik. It is something which is attached to the Quran. لأن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم هو الذي يوضح ما في القرآن. Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم is the person who makes apparent whatever is in the Quran. And this can be found since the time of the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum wa ardah. A man came to Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma on a matter, and in this matter, as soon as Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma gave him the verdict by giving him evidence from the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this person started saying, قال Abu Bakr, قال Umar, قال Uthman. But Abu Bakr ibn Siddiq says this, and Umar ibn Khattab says this, and Uthman ibn Affan says this. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma said, أحدثك عن قول رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وتقول لي قال أبو بكر وقال عمر وقال عثمان. After I've given you the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how dare you come and say Abu Bakr has said this, and Umar has said this, and Uthman has said this, radiyallahu anhum an as-sahabat al-kiram. Think of it. Abdullah ibn Abbas, Habr al-Ummah, amongst the most knowledgeable of the Sahaba, who Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made dua for him, saying Allahumma faqihhu fi ad-din wa 'allimhu at-ta'wil, is using an example of the best of the three Sahaba. The best of the people of this ummah ba'da Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Abu Bakr, and the best after Abu Bakr is Umar ibn Khattab, and the best after Umar ibn Khattab is Uthman ibn Affan radiyallahu anhum wa an as-sahabati kiram. He is saying, you cannot take their words over the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now think about anybody lesser than Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman. How many people do we put in front of the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And at the Sisa, which has come into our latter days, is people saying, but in our madhab, Imam Abu Hanifa doesn't say this, Imam Malik doesn't say this, Imam Shafi'i doesn't say this, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal doesn't say this. Listen to the words of this four ai because subhanallah, it has become a karitha in our day and age from the people who ascribe to knowledge and they blindly put forward the words and the opinions of others than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Their words have been summarized in words or in verses of poetry by Sheikh Muhammad al-Madani, who was a scholar of the 13th century. He passed away around 1205 or 1208 بعد هجرة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من مكة إلى مدينة. He says, he has very famous verses of poetry. قول أعلام الهدى لا يعمل بقولنا بدون نص يقبل فيه دليل الأخذ بالحديث وذاك في القديم والحديث. قال أبو حنيفة الإمام: لا ينبغي لمن له إسلام أخذ بأقوال حتى تعرض على الكتاب والحديث المرتضى. ومالك إمام دار حجرة قال: وقد أشار نحو حجرة كل كلام منه ذو قبول ومنه مردود سوى الرسول. وشافعي قال: إن رأيتم قولي مخالفا لما رويتم من الحديث فاضربوا الجدار بقولي مخالف الأخبار. وأحمد قال: لهم لتكتبوا ما قلته بل أصل ذلك اطلبوا، فاسمع مقالة الهداة الأربعة وأمل بها فإنها منفعة لقمعها لكل ذي تعصب والمنصفون يكتفون بالنبي. يقول رحمه الله تعالى: قول أعلام الهدى. Listen to the أعلام, the leaders of guidance, the أئمة الأربعة. Different parts of the world refer to these four men whenever they're looking at matters of fiqh. Listen to their words. لا يؤمل, all of them are saying, لا يؤمل بقولنا. None of you are supposed to act upon our actions بدون نص يقبل, without evidence which is authentic, which is acceptable. فيه دليل الأخذ بالحديث. Their words have evidence. They point out that we are supposed to take from the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is what gives us the bearing and the guiding. وَذَاكَ فِي الْقَدِيمِ وَالْحَدِيثِ, and that is during their time up to the contemporary world that we live in today. قال أبو حنيفة الإمام. What's the name of Imam Abu Hanifa? نعم, نعمان بن بشير رحمه الله تعالى. قال أبو حنيفة الإمام: لا ينبغي لمن له إسلام. It is not befitting for anybody who calls himself a Muslim أخذ بأقوال حتى تعرض بالكتاب والحديث المرتضى. Until you compare whatever I've said, look at the Quran and look at the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If my words go hand in hand with the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then accept it. If it doesn't go hand in hand with the Kitab and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, leave it away. Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam al-Azam, who died in what year? When did Imam Abu Hanifa die? Whoever gives me the correct date, the first person gets a gift, inshallah. Let us not ask Sheikh Google, huh? Let us not ask Sheikh Google. If you don't know, say La Adri, it's okay. Saying La Adri is half of knowledge, inshallah. Anybody? He died in 150 بعد هجرة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من مكة إلى المدينة. 150 years after Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم made hijrah from Mecca to Medina is when Imam Abu Hanifa passed away. Yes, he died in the 3rd century. In the 3rd century. ومالك إمام دار هجرة قال وقد أشار نحو حجرة. Imam Malik, whose full name is, we have said his name here, mentioning 1 or 2 hadith. نعم. Abu Abdullah Malik ibn Anas ibn Malik al-Asbahi. أحسنت. He passed away which year? Sheikh Google. 170 what? 173. Are you sure? 173 قول واحد. ما شاء الله. Our Imam ما شاء الله قد طبق من أصول العلم. If a person doesn't know, they say لا أدري. أحسنت. هذا هو نصف العلم. نعم. 170? Huh? 173 or 179? Huh? 179? Are we sure? 179. After the hijrah of Rasulullah sallallahu from Mecca ila Medina. He says, قال وقد أشار نحو حجرة. He is saying these words while he is pointing towards the hijrah. Hujra meaning the house of Aisha radiallahu anhu ardah, where Rasulullah sallallahu is buried. We all know that Rasulullah sallallahu died in the laps of our mother Aisha radiallahu anha ardaha, and she had the honor of Rasulullah sallallahu being buried in a house. So Imam Malik, Imam Dar Hijrah, this was his laqab, his nickname, the Imam of the house of Hijrah, where Rasulullah sallallahu migrated to. He is saying these words whilst he is teaching in the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu whilst pointing towards the house of Aisha radiallahu anha wa ardaha, where Rasulullah sallallahu is buried. قال وقد أشار نحو حجرة كل كلام منه ذو قبول ومنه مردود سوى الرسول. Everybody has words and speech which is accepted and not accepted, except for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, except for صاحب هذا القبر. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the only person who walked on this earth whose words we accept unconditionally. Everybody else, you can take their words and you can not take their words. As for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, you have to accept immediately. These are the words of Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala. وشافعي قال إن رأيتم قولي مخالفا لما رويتم من الحديث فاضربوا الجدار بقول مخالف الأخبار. Imam Shafi'i, his name is أحسنت ما شاء الله أرى الشواف موجودون ما شاء الله. I see people who are the followers of Imam Shafi'i are here, are representing ما شاء الله. Muhammad ibn Idris Abu Man, Abu Abdullah al-Qurashi. He is from the lineage of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Tamam? Muhammad ibn Idris Abu Abdullah al-Shafi'i died in what year? 200 and what? 203 or 204. واحد من ثنتين. Either 203 or 204. On the turn of the century, meaning he died in the 4th century. Rahimahullah ta'ala. He says, if you see my words, my opinions going in contrast to the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, take my words and hit them to the walls. Subhanallah. Throw them away. My words, throw them away and be sufficient with the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These are the words of Imam Shafi'i. How many of us today will hear a hadith? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said this, but everybody, لا 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 هذا قول المذهب. This is the qawl of the madhab. يقدموه على قول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. I'm not saying that people are not supposed to learn fiqh using the madhahib, لا, but it becomes an afah. It becomes a catastrophe when people take the qawl of this a'imma and put it in front or give it precedence over the qawl of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The last one, Imam Ahmad says, وأحمد قال لهم لا تكتبوا ما قلته بل أصل ذلك اطلبوا. Imam Ahmad, his name is Ahmad ibn Hanbal Abu Man, Abu Abdurrahman. نعم أكيد شيخ عبد السلام ما شاء الله تبارك الله. ها أبو من؟ أحمد بن حنبل. ونسبته When did he pass away? 200 and what? 241. بعد هجرة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من مكة إلى مدينة. He is telling his students, he is addressing his students, do not write whatever I say on face value. Look for the origin of what I'm saying. If you find what I'm saying is from the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then write it down. Do not just write things, what I'm saying, blindly. Do not follow me blindly. Do not follow my opinions blindly. Look for the asl. Look for the origin of the words that I'm saying. فاسمع مقالة الهداة الأربعة وأمل بها فإن فيها منفعة. Listen to these lamps and lanterns of guidance, and act upon their words, making sure that we're always putting the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam before the words of anybody. وَأَمَلْ بِهَا فَإِنَّهَا مَنْفَعَةٌ. And act upon it, verily it is for everyone's benefit. لِقَمْعِهَا لِكُلِّ ذِي تَعَسُّبٍ. Because it suppresses, it represses, it obliterates completely. كُلِّ ذِي تَعَسُّبٍ. Anybody who has ta'assub. Ta'assub is blind following. Ta'assub. And he is very angry. I am Shafi'i quh. Pure Shafi'i. I'm only taking the words of Imam Shafi'i. I'm Hanafi quh. Khalas. Imam A'zam has said it. Khalas. Are you more knowledgeable than Imam Ahmad or Imam Abu Hanifa? I am following his words. Khalas. And they're forgetting, perhaps there's a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam which goes against what this A'imma held as their position. That is point number 3. Inshallah, after the adhan, we shall take the other 3 points if we have the time. Wa jazakumullahu khairan. So just to summarize the first 3 points. Number 1 is to believe the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whatever emanated from him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Number 2 is Naam Ahsant, following his commandments, whatever he has ordered us to do and he has prohibited us from doing, we are supposed to follow from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Number 3, Naam Ahsant, no one should supersede the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Number 4, where Imam or Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen rahmatullah alayh made it 2 different points, we are going to combine it into one. When a person says وَأَشْهَدُ أَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا sallallahu alayhi wasallam, is a person saying or refraining from adding, innovating from this religion anything which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not bring, and not innovating anything in the right of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So 2 into 1, nobody innovating, bringing something new which was not known during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, nor inventing or innovating something in the right of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam which was not known afore. Let us make something clear, or let us just explain it so we can understand it. A person bringing about something which was not there during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For example, I say, because Eid al-Fitr is the Eid where people need to eat food, inshallah, we are going to slaughter, yes, our udhiyah, we're going to slaughter our udhiyah instead of on the 10th or the 11th or the 12th or the 13th of the Hijjah, we're going to slaughter on Eid al-Fitr. Because mashallah, Muslimin have been hungry. This is when they need their food. They don't need their food during Eid al-Hajj, they were not fasting. They only fasted maybe Yawm al-Arafah. So if it is to slaughter, we're going to slaughter on Eid al-Fitr. Is that acceptable? Huh? Why? Because it goes against the commandments of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A person, let us use the same example as the slaughtering of Eid al-Fitr, says, subhanallah, today is Yawm Arafah, it's the 9th. Before anybody, I want people to taste my meat, the meat that I slaughter. So I am going to slaughter Yawm al-Arafah, and people break their fast, yes, with that meat, and that will be my udhiyah. Is that acceptable? No. It goes against the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when a man came to him and informed him that he had already slaughtered, told him, إِنَّمَا شَاتُكَ شَاتُ لَحْمٍ. Our example is that we first pray, ثُمَّ لِنَرْجِعَ وَنَنْحَرْ, and then we go back after the salah so that we can slaughter. This is the example of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is in the first point, in point number 4, of anybody bringing about in the religion that which was not from the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As for not bringing fi haqqihi sallallahu alaihi wasallam ma laysa min, bringing something which was not from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is a person, for example, innovating and saying Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he was the best of men, he could speak all languages. Is that true? Huh? Say Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he was the best of men and he is Habibullah al-Mustafa, he could speak Swahili if he wanted to. Is that true? Huh? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam could fly anytime. If he wanted to go somewhere, he will just fly. If Nabiullah Sulaiman had control over rih, then definitely Rasulullah sallallahu awla bidhalik, so he can go. Is that correct? That is the meaning of a person saying wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu, not ascribing to him that which is not, or he did not ascribe to himself. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even in matters where we would think that he has the right, he would say wala fakhr, and I am not boasting about it. Ana sayyidu waladi Adam wala fakhr. I am the Sayyid, I am the chief, I am the leader of the children of Adam, but I am not saying it boastfully. ما أعظم تواضع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. So people come later and add to this religion and add to the characteristics of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ما ليس منها. People who say Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam can talk to you right now if you want to. He will talk to you live when you awake. هذا ليس من خصائص النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. If you call him and you're in a dark place and you say this dhikr, you will see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam coming to you. هذا ليس من دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. So a person saying وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم is not ascribing to him that which he has not ascribed to himself, or Allah Azza wa Jalla has ascribed to him. Not ascribing to him, innovating to him, unto him a matter which is not from him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imam Malik, and this is what we finish inshallah today, so we can have space for a question or two, and we shall continue with point number 5 and 6 next week inshallah. Imam Malik says, Man ibtada'a shay'an fi ad-din فقد زعم أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم خان رسالة. Whosoever will add anything in this religion, thinking that whatever he is doing is good, then he has claimed that Rasulullah ﷺ was treacherous in delivering his risala. Rasulullah ﷺ has already said, Allah Azza wa Jalla has ordered him to say, Al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum. فما لم يكن يومئذ دينا فلن يكون يوم دينا. Whatever was not the religion during the time of Rasulullah ﷺ and his Sahaba was not the religion, it cannot be the religion today. It cannot be part of the religion. So anybody who says, وَأَشْهَدُ أَنَّ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ, I bear witness, I ratify, I believe in my heart, and I proclaim with my tongue, he can never add anything to this religion, no in this religion, no in the right of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And we should stop here inshallah because of our time constraint. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal bimannihi wa fadlihi wa karamihi an yufaqqihana fi ad-din wa yu'allimana at-ta'wil, for Allah Azza wa Jal to give us understanding of this noble religion, innahu waliyyu dhalika wal qadir alayh, and make all of our efforts in seeking knowledge and transmitting this knowledge khalisan li wajhihi, innahu waliyyu dhalika wal qadir alayh, sincerely for his sake. Verily he is able to do all this. Wabillahi tawfiq. Ameen. Wa jazakumullahu khairan. If anybody has a question or two, فليتفضل.